The most common negative comment that we get on our channel is, you are actually not off-grid. And I get why people say that. You see us filming videos, using a fridge, and obviously we have internet. And it's easy to assume we're still hooked up to the grid somehow. But here's the thing. We are completely off-grid by the actual definition. So today I'm going to explain exactly what that means, why there's some confusion around it, and how we still incorporate modern life and technology in an off-grid life. If you're new, I'm Erica. My husband Mark and I and our 3 children live fully off-grid in Canada, and we try to live a healthy and self-sufficient lifestyle, and that's what we share about in our videos. So I hope you'll subscribe to our channel. So here's a few examples of comments that we've gotten. How do you live off the grid but still order stuff in? Not fully off-grid if you have equipment and ability to be on YouTube. Amazon check, internet check, YouTuber check, completely off-grid check. Guess what? You do not live fully off-grid with your husband. You live on your own grid. You do not leave electricity behind. You generate your own on your own grid. Off-grid living and you're using electricity, you probably have running water and a sewer system. We do. And we're still off-grid. Off-grid, but still unable to let go of internet. Anyway, you get the idea. And these comments, they always make me chuckle, of course. And I know some of them are just people that are legitimately asking, and some of them are like ridiculous that you're claiming to be off-grid. And those are the ones that bother me, because I just don't like being accused of lying when I'm not lying. And I think this happens because people mix up the term off-grid living with self-sufficiency or primitive living, which are like related, but they're not the same. So if you search the definition of off-grid on Google, this is what you get. Not using or depending on public utilities, especially the supply of electricity. So simply put, you're not connected to the public power grid. That's it. It doesn't mean you can't use technology or go to the grocery store or order things online. It just means you produce and manage your own power. And that's exactly what we do. So here's how it works for us. Our cabin and property are not connected to the power lines at all. We generate our own electricity with solar panels and store it in batteries. And when there's not enough sun, especially in winter, because we live in Canada up north, we have a generator for those stretches where there's just not enough solar power. And we also have 3 smaller backup generators in case our main one breaks down. And for water, our house water comes from a well, and we collect rainwater for our animals and gardens. And we heat our home with wood and propane, and we cook with propane. So there's our utilities in a nutshell. We also have a septic tank that pumps out to a different section of our property. So there's no monthly utility bill. We maintain, manage, and pay for all of our own systems. So there you go. That's off-grid. Even if I order from Amazon, even if I have Wi-Fi, even if I don't grow all my own food, I am still completely off-grid by the definition. So I totally understand the confusion about all this though. Online, you see all kinds of off-grid living styles, right? Everything from full homesteads that grow all of their own food to remote cabins that are super tiny and have an outhouse and a manual well water pump, like very primitive. Those can all be off-grid. And the internet just tends to blur that line between off-grid and primitive living, but they are actually 2 different things. So off-grid means not connected to public utilities, and primitive living is just not using modern technology. So we're off-grid. We do not claim to be primitive, to be living primitively at all. That's not our goal with this. We didn't move out here to prove a point or, win some kind of survival contest. As you can tell, our off-grid setup is quite luxurious compared to others. We have plumbing and a propane furnace that heats the section of our house that doesn't have a wood stove. And we have a solar system that automatically turns on the generator when we need more power, if the solar isn't giving us enough. So on the daily, our life isn't too different from just everyone else's as far as utilities go. We aren't using an outhouse or pumping water by hand or living by candlelight after the sun goes down like a lot of typical off-gridders would, or like you might expect from an off-gridder, right? We moved here to raise our family close to nature. We wanted to be in the peaceful, quiet woods, to have opportunities to grow our own food on land, and for the off-grid aspect to just take responsibility for the things that we depend on. We love having the comfort and convenience of modern tools and technology. We just wanted to power them ourselves. So for us, that's real independence, and that's what we wanted. That was our goal with this. Now, that being said, there's still hard work to be done and challenges because we are off-grid. I still have to bring in firewood every day. I carry a baby around while I do chores and other tasks. Sometimes we have problems with the generator, and we have to, pull out the other ones, and have had problems with our septic system. I can link a video about that here. So there are different challenges. It's not just all super easy because we're being off-grid in a modern way. There are always challenges, but we're fine with that. And I wouldn't have been able to live this way a few years ago when I was always exhausted and having multiple health issues. So if you've been craving that same kind of independence in your health and routines, I'd love to invite you to my free workshop. It's called the Well-Energized Woman. And it's all about just the embarrassingly really simple, tiny steps that I took to allow me to feel better and get better and just to live this life. Just realistic and sustainable habits that have actually stuck and will actually stick for you. So you can sign up through the link in the description if you want to join me. I'd love to see you there. And I just have to say too, the other negative comment that I always get is that I sound exhausted. I sound annoying and boring and all that. But I really do have a lot of energy. I go through the day, no problem, every day with 3 little kids. So, all right, let's clear up some common myths about off-grid living. First one is that you can't live off-grid if you have internet. We use satellite internet and it just runs off of our solar system. So there's no power grid involved, which means we're 100% off-grid. Myth number 2, you can't be off-grid if you use propane or a generator. Now, almost every off-grid setup uses some kind of backup system. You'd really be stupid if you weren't, because eventually you're gonna have problems and need it. So the goal isn't to live without technology, it's to live responsibly with the resources we have and to be as independent as possible. If we weren't able to access propane, we could heat and cook solely with our 2 wood stoves. So that's, we don't need the propane, but it's extremely convenient, and just having multiple ways of doing things is way better insurance than just one way of doing things. Myth number 3, you have to grow or make everything yourself. No, we grow some of our own food, but we also buy a lot that we don't produce, just like anyone else. That doesn't make us less off-grid, less self-sufficient, yes, but still totally off-grid. And it's just what's realistic with the property that we have. Of course, we're trying to take steps towards greater self-sufficiency because we desire that too. We want independence. We don't want to rely on the stores and other people, but that's not what makes us off-grid. So yes, by definition and lifestyle, we are off-grid. But the bigger goal isn't just about being disconnected from the power lines. It's about being connected to nature and not relying on other people for life's necessities like heat and power and water. So next time you see one of our videos and you say, or you think, that looks too modern to be off-grid, remember, off-grid doesn't mean going back in time. It means taking control of your own systems, and it can also mean living primitively, but not necessarily. I just want to say too that the overwhelming majority of our comments that we get are so positive and kind and encouraging, and we really appreciate that. This is just addressing really the like 0.1% that aren't. So all of you that watch regularly and say nice things, we really appreciate you. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to learn more about how we heat our off-grid cabin, watch this video next.